Hello, we are here at the Egyptian Theater. We are speaking with, first off, I just realized I already, out of pure nervousness, forgot your name already.
It's Lee Littlefield.
Lee Littlefield, and that's my fault. And my name is Michael Garza, and we have Dave Engholm here today. We also have Anthony Engholm here, and we're here to do an interview for people who want to learn a little more about the organ. Really, especially people like me, because I feel like all I know is my Yamaha keyboard at the end of the day, and I don't know much about many other musical instruments just due to my pure ignorance on the subject for the most part. But yeah, feel free to let us know. Feel free to introduce yourself to everybody and.
Well, as I said, I'm Lee Littlefield. I play the Wurlitzer at the Egyptian Theater, and I have since my high school days, which was clear back in the 1960s. So I started piano lessons here in Coos Bay. I grew up in Coos Bay and transitioned to the organ in high school. I still play the piano and I play the organ both. It's just like keyboards. I had a mom who loved pipe organ, and she had I would say dozens of vinyl records of pipe organ, theater organs, just like this one. So we grew up listening to those, and when I discovered about in junior high, when I'd come to the afternoon matinees, there was something under a green curtain, this organ. I tried to be here if somebody was playing it, and in my high school days, there was a fellow named Jack Coxon who played lounges around here, the organs and the lounges, the fancy places in Coos Bay back in the day, and he played it and agreed to show me how to play it. And I did for a couple years before I went off to college. And as good fate would have it, there was a smaller version of this at the college I went to, Willamette University in Salem. So I kept playing the pipe organ and I studied classical organ at the same time. I didn't broadcast that to my professor, but this really was my first love, playing theater music. And about a dozen years later, I came back to Coos Bay. I taught in Salem and I lived elsewhere, and came back to Coos Bay and just resumed where I left off in 1974. And that's when we started the Sounds of Christmas concerts. And I would play other things in here as well. But that's where I got started. I was fortunate to have piano lessons and a mom who had all those records that I liked, and this town had one of these organs, and the place I went to college had one, so the fates were looking down upon me. I was a happy musician.
Now, how do you think you would have felt? Now, like, let's say you played the organ, right? But like, let's say you could only play like piano ever again. How would that feel to you? Be like, dang it, yeah. I really prefer the organ more than anything. And so that's kind of how you feel, like you just prefer the organ overall, just like.
I think I know what you're getting at. The organ is a whole orchestra at my fingertips, and I can have a full orchestra. I can have solo instruments. I can improvise. I improvise on the piano too. I play jazz and all that kind of stuff just in my own living room. But this fills this auditorium, and I love the big bass and the sounds it makes in here. And when the Egyptian was built in 1922, it's a garage and then converted over to a theater after the World War I problems were taken care of, that they couldn't build theaters. They commissioned this instrument for this venue, this space, and there were technicians who came out and measured the chambers where the pipes are on either side, and went back to Tonawanda, New York, and built this instrument for the Egyptian Theater in Coos Bay, or in Marshfield, Oregon at the time. And then the summer of 1925, they arrived with a trainload of organ parts. I think there were 50 crates and 3 technicians who spent 3 weeks putting this all together. It's a big puzzle. They knew what they had built it back there. They put it together. It worked back there. They tore it apart again and packed it in crates and shipped it out here. And it's been sitting here and still working after 100 years. That's pretty amazing. And this man right here next to me, David, is one who keeps it going.
I do my best.
Man, that is. I didn't even know this thing was 100 years old. That is. First off, Dave, how do you maintain this thing?
Well, you take a lot of patience, you know, it's a lot of hours, and you go up in the organ chambers. Sometimes you run back and forth from the console down here, unless you have somebody sitting down here at the console. I was working with Paul Carino, and he started here in 1980. Then there was a little Boyd, and Lee, thank God, got in touch and let me know his contact information, and we brought him back down here. We just lost him last year. But working with him, it was fun. It was fun. Sometimes it'd be a little whirlwindy, but it was fun. You know? I tell you, and he's a man of vast knowledge. My gosh, he does this in his sleep. You know? And I've been doing it, you know, since the 1980s. Is when I got started on working on it. You know, I didn't get as intensely as he did. It's been a lifetime thing for him.
Yeah.
But I would work on releathering primary pneumatics, power pneumatics. We did things like that. There was a pipe organ that I got started with at Old Town Music Hall in El Segundo, California. And the 2 men that operated it, Bill Kaufman and Bill Field, they were very nice gentlemen that were very receptive to young kids and the younger generation getting involved. So I got involved from down there through them. They were working on a pipe organ that was going into a pizza restaurant in Arizona. So they had it all in Bill Field's warehouse. Well, his home and his warehouse were in the same place. It was kind of interesting because it wasn't in the best area of town. It was in South Central Los Angeles. The house was huge because it was a warehouse combination living, you know, for his home. Anyways, when you go there, it looked terrible on the outside. You could tell it was huge, but it had bars on everything. The car had to be parked in a cage, literally in a cage. The doors were double keyed. So a few times when my neighbor friend Jay got involved with me because I told him, hey, you know, they need another guy to come help work on this organ we're working on, and would you like to be involved? Oh, yeah. So Jay came along with me, and a few times Bill had to go somewhere out. He said, I'm going to lock you guys in, you know, and you're not going to be able to get out, so, you know, I'm just letting you know. I said, that's fine. That's the way you had to do it, you know, and we didn't have a bolt lock we could unlock because it was a key.
Yeah.
So we were fine. Luckily, the house never caught fire or anything like that, because I don't know what we would have done, to be honest with you. But we worked there on that organ that was being, you know, going to go up to or down to Phoenix, Arizona, be put in a pizza restaurant. That never came to fruition. The guy finally ran out of money who was having it done. The organ was a huge Wurlitzer. It was a 4-manual, I think 30-something ranks of pipes that came out of the old Chicago Uptown Theater. And then it was bought by him and brought to Los Angeles. The console was all in parts. It was a fancy scrolled console, so we never got to working on that. We were just working the pipe chest and getting them ready for it. And then when he finally ran out of money, that all came to an end.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately. But,
Maybe David, tell our viewers how many pipes and what this one's all about.
Yeah, this one has close to 1,000 pipes, just a little under 1,000. I think it's roughly 800. Yeah, it's a 10 rank organ, so there's almost 100 pipes per rank, almost. That's why we say a little under 1,000.
I gotta admit, that's tough to imagine 1,000 pipes for one. Where I mean, even though like I'm
up here,
all the way up there, just like blasting out the sound. To me, that's just wild to imagine, because you know, I know that you guys both work with this, so it's easy for you guys to imagine. But from my point of view, I'm like thinking like, these all thin pipes. They all kind of some
They-
big pipes, some of them smaller pipes. It sounds like an odd way to say it. I'm trying to. I almost think of it like, I know it's an inaccurate way of looking at it, but I almost think of like water pipes, like, but almost like I know it's totally inaccurate. It's my ignorance on how organs work for the most part, but but that's just kind of the way I visualize it. Though I know it's totally inaccurate, though. But I will say this though, something that gets me so curious. Now, I know this organ is placed where you're, looking at the sheet music and everything, but is it commonplace for the person playing the organ to be facing towards the stage or towards the crowd? Which is more commonplace in most organ I can't even venues? Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
In performances.
This was put in 100 years ago when there was no sound to music. I mean, to the movies.
Oh yeah.
So the organ player had to be able to watch the film and provide the appropriate sounds. And if I can turn around, I'll demonstrate a
absolutely.
couple of them. That would be the train that the organ came on to town in. This one's kind of tough to hear. Maybe horses hoof.
Oh yeah.
The streetcar,
Telephone.
telephone,
I better answer.
the banana. Here we have the birds.
That's incredible to me. That is too incredible.
And then there are live instruments up there, not just pipes. There are xylophones. Let's see if I can get it to play.
That is too cool.
Bells.
That's so magical, man. To me that just, it gives me a certain feeling of just a little bit of nostalgia too, because even though I've only been to maybe, 'cause I know when I was a kid, I think the last time I saw somebody play the organ was I should say like a full out performance. I know when I was a kid here at Egyptian, I remember, and I just kind of remember like that feeling of like, wow, this is so magical, and just knowing how it works now, makes it even more magical to me.
They have today now all these speakers here for surround sound, but the organ provided that 100 years ago.
It was the sound of the theater. You didn't have any other sound other than this instrument that was designed for this theater. And back to your question on the size of pipes and everything.
Oh yeah.
They go smaller than a pencil, and they go large enough that you could almost get inside of one. There's some organs that have 32-foot diaphones. You could easily get inside of that. 32-foot tall, imagine that.
32-foot tall.
And 64-foot pipes in the big cathedrals
Oh, yeah.
in Europe. 64 feet long. That's just like rumble.
Yeah, it shakes the building and knock the dust off the ceiling. But we're very fortunate to have this here because it is the only remaining Wurlitzer theater pipe organ in the entire state of Oregon, because it's originally from here. There are a few others out there like the Elsinore Theater in Salem, but that's a transplant. They had one once upon a time. It was taken out. These gentlemen wanted another one in there, so they brought one, and it was from different parts of different theater organs and put it all together. We're fortunate because this one was, as she said, was designed for this house and was put here back in July of 1925. So that's 100 years ago. and keeping it alive, it's a lot, like I say, immense amount of patience dealing with these. But right now, what we do, instead of rebuilding a lot of things, we just patch things and keep things that are working and hope they stay working.
Yeah. You said 1925, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
July?
July of 1925 is when
That's
they brought it
wild, because a month ago it was its 100th anniversary.
in. Yeah.
Well, I didn't realize it was that exact. I thought it was like maybe an estimate, but that's exactly. Wow, did you? Is Egyptian? I know, like, is the Egyptian theater thinking about doing any like kind of some cool celebration for like how long this thing has been just alive and able to do what it still does? And
Well, in November the 15th, we're going to be having a big celebration here. That's part of why we're doing this, is to let people know out there that we're having the 100th anniversary of this theater. And the organ had to be installed in July because they wanted it well ready for the opening. The first time the public heard it was in November of 1925. Before that, anybody who heard it was just the insiders that were connected with the theater, or the technicians that had to check and make sure everything worked after they got it in here.
And it had to settle in its new house too. It's temperamental with humidity and dry weather, and so they had to see how's it going to like it living on Coos Bay, and gave it a few months to do that.
I was gonna say, it's really humid here on the coast. Do you guys have like dehumidifiers on 24/7 or anything, or?
No, we keep buckets of water up in the chamber, and we make sure they're filled. There's one over there, it's getting a little low. It's not to the point where I have to fill it yet, but I will be filling it, and I take it down the
It
stairs.
likes humidity.
Oh, it's a
Because it's used to it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So the more humidity, the better, is what you're saying.
Right, 'cause
Okay.
otherwise you have wooden pipes, and the metal ones too, they get all dried, and it changes the tuning, it throws everything off.
That's true.
Expansion and contraction.
And we used to have, back in the day, 50 years ago, when the high tides would come, sometimes this pit would get flooded, the real high tides. We didn't have good pumps and sump systems like we do now. So it's survived a lot of issues. And David and his family built a beautiful, I don't know, what do you call it?
Platform
A
again?
platform that lifted it up, not too high to impede the films on the screen, but high enough to keep it up out of the base of the pit in case something goes haywire with pumps or what have you.
That's pretty smart, just to be
Yeah.
on the safe side. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the water had already done so much damage under there. It really caused a lot of problems, mainly in the pedal board, and some pieces are missing off of there, and the back actually turned mush back there. So we didn't have a back for a short while. Then we obtained one that was given to us from the San Gabriel Civic Auditorium, and that was from an organ that came out of the old Abbey Theater from 1924 in New York. So
That
we were very
happens to
fortunate.
fit this one.
Yeah,
So
well, it was the same size console. Their console had more to it because it was a bigger model, but the shell was the same. As long as you were dealing with a 3, any pieces from a 3 would fit the other 3s. And 3 meaning 3 manuals, that's 3 rows of keys there.
Oh man, it's so cool to me. Like the fact that it survived, so it looks so pristine too. You would think when you look at it, it's like you think, oh, probably never went through anything. But after that history, it's like, oh man, you guys have kept this thing, first off, looking fresh and still working, in what sounds like a very fresh way. I don't know how. Would you say that it's working at its? Well, I'm trying to think of a way to word that. Peak efficiency. I guess that wouldn't be a good word. Maybe it would be. I don't know. What would you? Sorry, I'm stumbling on my words, you guys. My apologies.
I'll jump in there really quick. It isn't fully functional, but if you know what you're doing, you play around a lot of that. You add more stuff to the ingredients in there. These stop tablets are different instruments, as you were saying. And you could put, if you're lacking on a Vox Humana, you could add a diapason or other instruments, tibia, quintadina. There's many other instruments you add, so the ones that are dead. The most dead notes, I believe, are on the Vox, aren't they, Lee?
I honestly don't know, David.
I think it's
play
the-
right through it.
She plays through it. See, she's not going to go and just single out one. But the box, I think, is the most dead ones. That's what Paul and I always had trouble because we get to this note, he's jump next. So and it was
For
always
the
the box.
tuning,
Yeah,
when
it was
they're
always the
tuning it.
box humana, and it didn't seem to all work. One thing I liked that she said about being a puzzle, I'll tell you something very interesting. All the parts up there, you know, the chest where they connect to the floor, there's a floor plan actually. They put a flat piece and then you have letters stamped in there and where they're supposed to be at. And they all fit right into place. They designed it in the factory, like she said, and they had it all set. So the technicians really knew. But the technicians made one little mistake that I discovered more recently, because otherwise, if Paul had discovered it with me, we would have been talking about it. We'd never spoke about it. But not long ago, it must have been about what was it, Anthony, 3-4 months ago, I guess? We discovered that up in that chamber, we were looking at the swell shades that weren't working, trying to go over things and make notes of things that need to be dealt with in the future, but we want to know what we're dealing with. There were chimes that had problems up there, so we noted them all. But we discovered where the swell shades are, they have these braces that support what puts the air box to make them open and close. And those ones are stamped solo. And I said, wow, these are not supposed to be here. No, excuse me, Maine. They were stamped Maine. My mistake. They were stamped Maine. These aren't supposed to be here. They belong on that side because that's the Maine. So I just verified what I thought. When we found Maine up there, what did we do, Anthony, on the other side? We found the solo stamp. Yeah, we found the solo stamp.
How
So
funny.
the ones that are supporting that are meant for this side. But being that the braces aren't different, like if it was some other part, they wouldn't fit. But being that they weren't different, nobody caught it.
Oh, wow.
Not
And
even
if the tech-
Paul, do you think?
I never heard him talk about it. Because that's something he would have mentioned, most definitely. So I don't think because we weren't even dealing with that stuff. When Paul passed away, I knew we were going to go through some things and know what needs to be done. And I knew there were problems in the chimes, so we were dealing with that. And we thought about some of these swell shades that don't open and stuff. But we're not going to get into doing all of that right now, but at least we're noting stuff.
No, and the organ, it performs beautifully as it is right now. The untrained ear, and even my trained ear, has no problem with it.
Well, and I'm real happy she's happy because we haven't done any major tuning, so to speak. If we could live on like that through the upcoming 100th and the Christmas concert, that would be fabulous. That would be
This organ is happy if it's played. It really is. It works if it's played. And if there's a little glitch, we can catch it just like that. And,
Oh, yeah.
And gosh, David, it's been working perfectly for,
I love that each
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Tell me
it
about that.
has. We played heavily last summer in the farmers markets and it did fine. And then there was one little cipher that slipped, I remember, at Christmas time, and you went right up there and fixed it.
Right. Then we had that one after Paulito had, left us and
Yeah.
went on to elevated to better and
Yeah.
bigger things. That was mine. Hold on, I'm just going to.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
To bigger and better things, we noticed on the tibia, remember? It sounded quirky.
Yes.
So I went up there, and usually stoppers slide in. And first I thought it was going to be the offset chest on the wall there, but it was on the main chest. And the stopper was actually up. Now,
Blown out.
yeah, but how? They don't blow out.
I know.
They go down. They don't blow out. So I think Paul's having some fun because he was always very humorous. He could make all kinds of. He could make you laugh anytime. In fact, when we were working, he'd be making sound effects just like he could whoop, whoop, just out of his mouth. He was just. He says, "See, it's like Lauren Hardy. It just comes natural." And he'll make that whistle and make it boom like that. He just had it inside of him. It was part of it.
Well, you have to have a little bit of humor to work with this.
Yeah.
I think so.
But you didn't want to deal with him when
No.
his temper went, and he had a temper. But all of us have our times and issues, But that temper, oh wow, I didn't care for that much. But we got through. And we did great, I tell you.
David and I both have played the organ here for quite a while, and one of our favorite observations is when people ask us where are the speakers that the sound comes out. And it's almost impossible not to laugh or go, oh, man,
Yeah.
and then try to explain that the speakers aren't producing the sound.
And you know what I used to do to some of the people? I say, you want to go up and check out those speakers when it was a small, maybe
Yeah,
a couple people,
yeah.
you know, because I'm not, we used to take big groups up there, but it became too
We
complicated.
don't do
and-
that anymore.
No, we don't do that because too much opening and closing changes the temperature there and it thus messes up the tuning and everything.
And it's kind of a circuitous route to get up there.
Yeah.
But back to that thing that I was talking about, I'd take them up there and when they saw all these drums and everything, they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it. And then I'd have a little fun when I was dealing with the audience and showing the instruments like Lee was doing. And I'd, you know, show the xylophone, a drum and everything. And then I'd turn around and I'd tell the audience, I says, you know, I'm cheating because that's not me doing that. I'm using that key and it's tapping the musician up there and they're playing, those are actual instruments up there and they're playing their instrument on my cue there when I hit that key. And I get a chuckle out of them. I used to do the train and I'd turn around to the audience, you know, and I'd say, was that train departing or arriving? And the majority of whatever they yell out, I'd go with the majority.
I was going to mention, if I can remember what I was going to mention, what was I going to say?
Oh, it's okay.
Jumped out of my head.
It's okay. Hey,
Can't
it'll
remember.
probably come back to you here in a bit, but I think something that might jog your memory a little bit, that might put you in a happier place.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to, I know when you do a performance, I'm sure you get people coming up to you being like, holy moly, that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Or like you get some wild compliment, they're just like, my mind's blown. Like, can you think of a few instances where like some compliments or just kudos that people have given you after a performance that really stuck with you and just made you just feel like on top of the world?
Well, just this summer, I think either last month or the month prior, when we did one of the farmers market noon concerts, a fellow came up and David was here, I think. He's a big band leader in Portland. And he came down last year and heard us and wanted to come down again and hear it. So, you know, I thought, wow, that's pretty cool that he came to Coos Bay to hear the organ. And we share the organ with an outreach program the Egyptian has for the schools, the bands and choirs at Marshfield and at North Bend. And that was a lot of fun. And David invited the kids up and I helped them if they wanted to, and they sat down. Had to be kids who knew how to play the piano. You can't just sit here and bang away at it. But I've always enjoyed that aspect of it. And I don't know, I think just, you know, applause after you finish a piece, and you know whether you did it well or not. If I did it well, then it makes me feel good that the audience recognizes that too. Sometimes not so well, and they still applaud, but I know deep in my heart I didn't do as well as I might have sometimes. It's all up here.
Well,
I have the music up there to cue me with melodies and things, but the arrangements and what to do with the organ, it's, you know, all up here and improvised. So some days you're on and maybe there's an off day sometimes. Not too often, no. I've been doing it a long time.
But that's where that magic comes in, where you're able, like you said, to improvise. You have so much experience that you can, you know,
Yeah.
snap of a finger, a snap of a thought,
Yeah.
you could change it up a little bit if you feel like you
That's
might be
right.
off course a little bit, need to make an adjustment. And the beauty is, a lot of the time, the audience may not know, because they can't see the
They
sheet
don't
music.
know,
So that's,
they don't know the
that's the
arrangement
beauty, and they don't know
on
the
my head.
arrangement. Exactly. So you're able to kind of, you're able to, so if you mess up, you'll note it, but you're so
Yeah.
good and experienced, you're able to adapt, readjust, and go exactly where you need
Yep.
to go. So that is
That's
super.
right.
That's super cool to me.
That's what musicians have to do. Even professional classical musicians have to be on their toes in that regard. Yes.
Now, when you're practicing, like, do how often would you, practice is always an interesting thing because I'm all about practice in life, whether it's your practice in a sport, practice in an instrument. When you are practicing, are you typically just practicing on a piano at home? Do you ever just come down here to practice on this organ? Do you maybe just use other musical instruments to keep you kind of focused and fresh? Just because, if you can play one instrument, typically you can play another. Is that kind of how it works? I might be a little ignorant to that, but
No, you're onto something. Yeah, I do come down here and play, practice. In fact, I was doing a little bit while you guys were setting up.
and that was cool to hear. By the way, I was really enjoying. I was like, it was really neat to hear music while I was setting up. It made me feel very relaxed.
Yeah.
What you played was super cool. So I was like in a zone. And I was like, this is great.
I practice on the piano, and the switch off is between piano and organs too much, to really count. But I can think about the arrangements. And oddly enough, this will sound weird, but most nights before I go to sleep, I have a song going through my head, and I work on it till I fall asleep. But I think, because everything is in my head, and so I'll come up with an idea, and then next time I'm down here, I'll try to remember what song I was thinking about, and then what I thought I might do with it. And
Well, the mind's the ultimate laboratory. That's the best way to do it, because
right.
especially when you're thinking about it, you're closing your eyes, you're visualizing how you want to do it. You could even visualize up at the placement, how you're going to do it, how you're going to
the sounds I want, the tempos, the key changes, just all of that. And it's a good thing to do. Sometimes it consumes me, and I don't get to sleep till after midnight. But
hey, you just got an active mind, and that's a good thing. I say that's a good thing.
My mind shatters a lot that way.
Hey, better to think, better to imagine than not at all. So I think that's a beautiful thing to
Yeah.
hear. So
Yes, I agree with you.
But yeah, I was thinking we'll take just a quick moment. I'm just gonna do a quick little pause of the video real quick. There we go.
All right, Lee is going to play a special song. The first time I heard it was with a gentleman that was a organist that used to play on TV, very well known, very popular organist. His name was Korla Pandit. In fact, I'm wearing his tie pen. And anyways, he played this song that he wrote, and it's called The Rose of Descanso, a very beautiful piece. And I've heard Lee play it at the last farmer's market, and it brought tears to my eyes, literally. So she's going to go ahead and proceed to play that beautiful piece.
Let's get it rolling.
very special. I have a, well, you'll see it when I get to the flash drive.
Oh, wow.
And it has Clone Bandit. It has somebody else. I'm not going to mention her name, but I think you'll recognize them.
Great.
But you did it fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe play some of those ragtime ones you were playing, like
Oh, you want?
Maple Leaf, just to show them.
Let's try this.
Okay. Very good. You don't want to do a little of that Maple Leaf?
I need to practice that one.
Okay. All right. Hey, how
To
about
be honest with you.
all right, how about Singing in the Rain?
Okay, I'll do that one. Let's add some sound effects.
that really shows some of those instruments you heard up there. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah, I heard a very wide variety, and it's so funny because sometimes you just don't expect some of them either. They I know that there's so many different levers and keys, and that the way you play it is just so cool. Like I feel like it's just all coming at me from different directions. I get different feelings from it too, which is kind of cool. That's the one thing I love about music is the different feelings I get, different thoughts I get out of it, and just kind of sometimes I'll walk down a memory lane a little bit.
Right.
I'll think of just all sorts of things. It's just so cool.
It's really neat. There was somebody we would have recognized too. Her mom that she was talking about, everything, named Helen Doving. She actually was involved on our board here at the Egyptian Theater, and she was responsible for getting us the historical status with the national end of it and the state of Oregon and everything. And Lee here usually always plays a song that she really liked. And you'd like to play that for
Play
everyone?
that song.
Yes. Came down here when she was rehearsing. She'd always come and she'd be sitting right there in the front, and she'd always watch her, and Lee would always play that song at any of the events. And the first time I was acquainted to that song was many years ago when I was a kid. It was on a movie, the Benny Goodman story.
Is that right? That's probably where Mom had heard it too.
And at one part where he was proposing to the girl he loved, he was playing that piece on his clarinet. And the girl looked over at the mom of Benny Goodman and said, "He's telling me right now that he wants to marry me because he was playing that song."
It's a beautiful melody.
It is. And they had a lot of good music in that movie. I'll never forget. When the Angels Sing, there was multiple songs in that.
I like all those old. That's the era of music I like. The Great American Songbook, they call it. Let me play one more little jazzy one that I like.
Ooh,
We can
little jazz.
little jazz.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like that too.
How about the song Manhattan?
Oh, that's David's too. and we'd have that going.
We don't have to deal with that neighbor anymore, to say the least. So that's a good thing.
Ah,
What do you think? Was that good enough?
I think
What do you guys think?
I think that was honestly very incredible. And I got a free show out of the deal too, which hearing a free show, honestly, I'm like, heck yeah.
And you know what? I'll compliment you again. You do very well at speaking and everything and
you
interviewing.
really do.
So-
You've got a radio voice, I'd say.
I think you can get into a nice career there. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'm already doing. I guess I got a career on YouTube so far.
Yeah,
I'm growing on
YouTube
YouTube,
stuff.
but I get paid on YouTube, shockingly. But it's something that's very entertaining to me, though. I really do enjoy it. I just don't. It's funny because I don't do anything formal like this, though. It's a little most of my shows more informal, kind of more radio style with the camera and stuff. But doing this, though, it's just so much fun. I like this is the first time I've ever actually brought the microphone
Out of his
outside of the
house.
studio, so that's the funny part about it. Normally, if I do a portable show, it is strictly with this camera right here, just through my phone. Actually, it's surprisingly the quality on that's shocking. How they could put like such a good lens and such a small. I don't know. It blows my mind.
And then that one was another one you had going that went into your computer.
Yeah, it's linked right to the computer. In fact, I could see you guys right there through here, and I'm even able to monitor all the sound and stuff, which is great. So I was trying to keep it, make it not too high, but not too low, make it to the right sweet spot, which is really good. So being able to even see it right here is all I need, and it's the best part. And what's fun about this microphone is it picks up everything, so we're getting a lot of raw sound. So the viewer should be able to hear just about everything coming from those
Wow.
pipes. So that's the best part about it.
And then you were putting some out there live as we were doing it?
Daniela's in here right now.
Oh, did you have Daniela?
He said bravo.
Oh, wow. Wow, well, that's good. They're down in Ensenada, they're
Wow.
watching.
We got 49.
Well, I'm not into the TikTok thing, but since he does it, I said,
got,
yeah, might as
I
well.
don't
you know.
understand.
We've got 49 people.
Any outlet, I guess, is a good one,
We've
so.
got 49 people come in. They
That
come in.
kind of jumped in and out, in and out.
But yeah, we've got the live going on the whole time.
Yeah.
What I know what I forgot when I couldn't remember what I wanted to say
We
was,
could still do that part now.
Oh yeah.
well, it was just that on the Egyptian Theater ETPA website, under Egyptian Theater, I don't know what it is, David, but
Is it
the
.org or
film
something?
that was made when Carol was the director, and it was Paul and me talking, and then they had footage up in the chamber of all those instruments, like the marimba and the tambourines and all that, if they wanted to catch a view of that.
Right.
But it's,
Or I could take Mike up there a little bit and you could just get a few of the instruments if you want.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But I have something I want to show you here, Lee. Let me get my computer.
So look at my end the live then. I think that was all.
You guys calling it good on the recording
I'm
stuff?
good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, to everybody,
Joining in.
We better say goodbye.
well, yeah, I was gonna say just a
goodbye.
quick
Yeah,
goodbye
to
to
wrap
the
it up.
audience.
Say goodbye to the audience.
All right,
quick,
sure.
a couple quick final questions though. When is this? When's the date and the
I'll let you
time
do that.
for this celebration of the organ?
Okay, of the 100th?
Yeah.
That's good. It's good you asked because there's something I had to add too. You know, besides Lee playing the organ who's been playing here since back in 1974, we have an organist coming up to do the silent movie and also some of the popular tunes of the 20s.
Which
And
movie's gonna be playing?
It's going to be called Sugar Daddies.
Sugar
That's the
Daddies.
title with Laurel and Hardy. Have you ever heard of Laurel and Hardy?
Might be before my time actually a little bit.
Well, you know what? You need to come and you need to check it out. Anybody out there needs to definitely come check it out.
Anybody in the Oregon area.
Exactly. But anyways, the one who's coming up, his name is Edward Torres. And if anybody wants to check him out, they could do so on YouTube. And you look him up under his name, Edward Torres, Torres, and put in Bob Baker Day. And you'll see him playing in 2021 at the Old Town Music Hall. And he's going to be coming up here. He also plays at Marionette Theater down there. But he's going to be here. Anyways, back to time though.
Yeah.
I drifted off a little.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
But on the time, it's going to start at 2 p.m. and that's for the members.
2
So
p.m.
anybody who's members of our group here, the theater, you know, Egyptian Theater Preservation Association, we will be having a special event starting at 2 p.m. And then at 3:30, the doors are open to the public,
Okay,
the
so
general
3
public.
So 3:30 for the public, and the exact date though, what was it? November
November the 15th.
November 15th.
Saturday, I believe.
Saturday, yes. And that's a perfect day for it. And we decided to start the event earlier, not in the darkness of night, because, you know, we want people to come out and have a festivity and not be all tired out,
Yeah.
you know, at the end, you know. Because if you get people coming, you know, at 6 or 7 o'clock, they're going to be leaving about 11 or midnight. And, you know, a lot of people don't like driving at that time, and I don't blame them.
How many organ players are you guys gonna have? Just totally you two?
Two.
So two, and then so
There'll be some history talked about, and there's a silent auction.
oh
And I can't think of what. Oh, there's reminiscence. Even the audience is going to get in on their experiences of the Egyptian over the years.
Exactly. So everybody out there, come check it out. Definitely need to. You know, it's not every time that theater, you know, that's 100 years old, you know, and we're fortunate to have it here. And it's a large scale in this community. You know, a theater of this size, you can expect it in LA or Chicago or over in New York. But to have this magnificent house here, and it's a working piece of history. It's like a working museum doing what it's supposed to do, doing what it's been doing, entertaining people for 100 years, and this beautiful instrument here. Come check it out, please. Thank you, Lee.
well, we'll sign it on off. Lee, did you have any final things to say at all? Anything you think of?
See you in November.
See you in November.
Heck yeah.
Sounds good to me. All right, I'll catch everybody later. Thank everybody
Yeah,
for
later.
viewing.
Have a good one, y'all.
Don't
Thank
forget, November 15th, you said, right?
Yep.
Don't
November
forget
the
15th, 3:30 p.m.
Yeah.
for the public. Let's keep it rocking. Have a good night, everybody.